Palestinians did not come from Arabia. They are the indigenous people of the land, and the claim that they migrated here is a myth designed to erase their history. Setting the context, where the myth comes from. This myth isn't ancient, it's modern. In the early 20th century, as Zionist leaders pushed for a new state in Palestine, they argued that Palestinians weren't truly native. They claimed Palestinians were just Arabs from the Arabian Peninsula who arrived recently, so the land could be portrayed as empty or without a people of its own. In reality, this was propaganda, a political weapon to deny Palestinian roots and justify replacing them. By repeating it, the hope was to make it sound like fact, even though history tells the opposite story. But if Palestinians were outsiders, the archaeology, the records, and even the DNA would prove it. Instead, they tell a very different story. Deep roots before Islam and the Arab conquest. Palestine's history stretches back thousands of years, long before the rise of Islam or the Arab conquests of the 7th century. The land was home to Canaanites, Philistines, Jews, Samaritans, Christians, and many other peoples who lived, mixed, and left their mark over millennia. Modern Palestinians are not separate from this story. They are its continuation. Families, villages, and traditions carried through generations tie today's Palestinians directly to the same soil their ancestors lived on, farmed, and built upon. In other words, Palestinians did not arrive from the outside. They grew out of the land itself. Archaeological and genetic evidence. Archaeology makes this continuity impossible to ignore. Ancient villages, farming terraces, and ruins across Palestine show uninterrupted habitation where modern Palestinian towns stand on the same ground as their ancient counterparts. Pottery styles, architecture, and burial sites all reveal local traditions that never disappeared. Genetic research tells the same story. Studies show that Palestinians share deep ancestry with the ancient peoples of the Levant, the same genetic roots as Jews, Samaritans, and other historic groups of the region. Far from being newcomers, Palestinians are biologically tied to the land's earliest inhabitants. The evidence is clear. They did not migrate from Arabia. They are native to Palestine itself. Historical records and travelers' accounts. Written records also confirm a continuous Palestinian presence. Byzantine and Crusader sources mention the same farming communities that survived from antiquity into the Middle Ages. Under Ottoman rule, censuses and tax registers list Palestinian villages tied to the same lands for centuries. Even European travelers in the 18th and 19th centuries described Palestinian peasants cultivating the same fields, tending the same olive groves, and living in towns whose names went back to biblical times. These accounts leave little doubt. Palestinians were not outsiders arriving from Arabia. They were people rooted in their own homeland. Critics often point to the Arab conquest of the 7th century as proof that Palestinians came from Arabia. But here's the part they never tell you. Arab conquest clarified. The Arab armies that entered Palestine in the 7th century brought new rulers, a new language, and eventually a new religion, Islam. But they did not replace the population. The majority of people remained local, continuing their lives on the same land. Over generations, many adopted Arabic and Islam, but their ancestry stayed the same. This was not a mass migration from Arabia. It was a cultural and religious shift layered over an already established people. Modern Palestinians are the descendants of those same populations who lived there before the conquest, only Arabized in language and faith. Modern scholarship, political weaponization. Serious historians and anthropologists reject the idea that Palestinians are recent migrants from Arabia. The evidence from archaeology, genetics, and records is overwhelming. Palestinians are the indigenous people of the land. So why does this myth persist? Because it was designed as a political weapon. By portraying Palestinians as outsiders, Zionist narratives could erase their identity and justify their removal. This is the same tactic used against indigenous peoples all over the world. Deny their history to deny their rights. The truth is clear. Palestinians did not come from Arabia. They are the descendants of the people who have lived in Palestine for thousands of years. Myths are powerful, but truth is stronger. Share this history, because remembering it is an act of resistance. And if you want more forgotten stories that expose propaganda and preserve real history, subscribe and join us in keeping the past alive.